So we're talking today about the innovation of the assembly line. Now, to understand the assembly line, let's go back to another innovation, and that is the innovation of the car. Around 1900, there were dozens, if not hundreds, of car makers in the market, but all of them were expensive. Henry Ford's brilliant idea was to shift the focus of innovation from the product to the process, the workflow that was used to build that car. So in 1913, Ford's Highland plant pioneered the first assembly line. The assembly line brought together two key principles. First was the idea of specialization, of the division of labor. If you do just one thing, chances are you get really good at that. And also, if you only do one thing, I can hire unskilled labor to make that happen. So that makes the process scalable. The other key idea behind the assembly line was the idea of the moving line. The car, as it gets assembled, moves through the process so it flows to the worker as opposed to the worker going to the car. So what we saw was advances in precision machining. They created a market for interchangeable components. With interchangeable parts, you could just focus on the assembly. Basically, putting together a car became like building something out of Lego. Second was the emergence of scientific management, and we here at Wharton had a big part in that. So Frederick Winslow Taylor wrote his famous book, The Principles of Scientific Management, and Frank and Lillian Gilbreth pioneered the concept of time and motion studies. On the demand side, the US was blessed with a growing middle class. People were looking for things like cars and other assembled goods, which created a massive market. And then on the supply side, we had cheap immigrant labor, and I would say those four factors together created the perfect storm. The assembly line has made products like the car affordable to the mass market. It has given jobs and economic opportunities to millions of people. And so the idea of a process, of a flow, of an assembly line remains critical today. And so when you go as a consumer out and you consume a burger at McDonald's, you're benefiting from the principles developed by Henry Ford. These days, I am concerned that many of these lessons get forgotten. I would say the United States has developed like a muscle atrophy when it comes to building stuff. The United States and the Western democracies are challenged by arms races and military conflict that require us to build missiles, ammunition, drones. We need mass production and assembly lines for those. Similarly, when you think about the war on climate change, in order to stay sustainable in our society, we need mass production of electric cars, mass production of solar system, of batteries, and all of that requires us to remember the principles of Henry Ford. The assembly line has moved our thinking from what you're producing, from the product or service, the what, to the how. How am I producing? How do I organize the workflow and the process? As we think about the future, human beings, machines, robots, AI will have to work together in ways that we cannot imagine. I think the lesson of the Ford assembly line is, again, we have to be intentional about designing those workflows of the future. We have to think how to work and not just what we want to produce.